I love DNA testing. I like to see what the Jews from Poland come out to be, or things like that. You know, I mean, this is great DNA testing. I mean, we can get tremendous. I mean, they're doing a lot of testing in Africa and different places. It's all very interesting kind of claims that are either being validated or punctured through DNA testing. Not that I'm into racial testing, things like that, but it's just interesting for scientific purposes to find out where people really did come from. I mean, where did the Bushmen in Australia come from? We do the DNA testing and probably find out they come from southern India, you know, and stuff like that. But you know, it's really fascinating to do the DNA testing. But in any case, I think they were doing some DNA testing down in Oklahoma recently. Just a couple of weeks back, this woman was saying that she was a Cherokee. And you know, if you're a Cherokee, you're involved in the Cherokee Nation and you're entitled to certain privileges and so on, and she wanted them to put her on the Cherokee rolls. And they said, no, we're not going to put you on the Cherokee rolls because from what you're saying, you're only 1/16 Cherokee, and in fact, you know, you got to be more than 1/16 Cherokee. I mean, actually, she was mostly Afro-American, and but she claimed she was 1/16 Cherokee. They had a huge argument. They went and did the DNA thing, and actually the DNA did come out that she was about 1/16 Cherokee and the rest Afro-American. And I don't know if they put her on the rolls or they didn't, but the point was the DNA validated what she was saying. Whether they were going to then entertain it or not in the Cherokee. Why she wanted to be a Cherokee anyway, I don't know. But maybe there were some special benefits that you could get from being a Cherokee. I don't know the whole thing, but this is going on quite a bit now. So don't forget, the Arabs conquered a lot of people, and as the people came in, they adopted the mythology of the Arabs. And though they may have been the opponents of the Arabs, they may have even been people whose parents were slaughtered by Arabs and so on. And I'm not saying the Arabs slaughtered a lot of people, I'm just saying that in warfare this can happen. And your ancestors may actually have been the enemies and may have been killed. You may have been even a slave taken and your ancestors killed, and then you adopted in, and then you totally changed to be the other person. This can certainly happen, and I was saying that before. So I think this claim of, oh, we're all cousins, the Jews and the Arabs are cousins, and so on and so forth, yeah, to some extent, but I'm sure not in the vast way it's made across the whole Islamic world. It's very nice that everyone wants to be kissing cousins, but if you really want to get down to the true genealogies and care about what really is the fact, I think you'll find a much more checkered picture. And the idea that we're all the sons of Ishmael, I frankly don't even know if Muhammad is the son of Ishmael, a direct descendant of Ishmael. He thinks he is, or the angel thinks he is. But don't forget, Muhammad comes from down in Mecca. And that is not the normal area where the Ishmaelites are pictured as having hung out in the 15th century BC. Now, maybe they moved down to Mecca, but I'm sure there were other tribes down in Mecca who were not Ishmaelite tribes. And so the genealogies are there in the Song and Story, and we'll get them in here, of what the Quraysh tribe is, the tribe that Muhammad comes from. And the Quraysh tribe then will trace its roots back to Ishmael and so on. And because in the desert, genealogies are everything. Why are genealogies everything? Because there are no villages as such. Everything is in flux. It's like being at sea. And the only thing that provides you protection is your genealogy. Your blood connection, as these stories will show, to someone else. Because in that Cain story that you may or may not remember in the early parts of the Bible, Cain, if you remember, slays his brother Esau, and then God is angry at him according to the story. It's the second or third story in the Bible after the Adam and Eve story, before the Abraham stories. And then Cain says to God, God says, you are an outcast. I'm banishing you. Well, there's supposed to be no one else there. I don't know who he's banishing him from, but there's lots of people around, as it turns out. Cain and Abel are supposed to be the second and third people on the earth, but in fact, there's lots of people running around. And the storyteller in the Bible is not worried about such fine points. But in any case, Cain just protests to God. He said, anyone who comes upon me can kill me. And that's the thing of the outcast. If you don't have a tribal affiliation, you are dead meat. If I walk even into South LA or some areas that are dominated by gangs, which may have been some of the problem in New Orleans. Someone said, you walk into some of those areas, you're dead meat if you don't have an affiliation. There's no one going to protect you. No one going to protect you. You just can't go into certain areas without protection. And the protection is either the gang or the blood relationship, which is the gang usually is based on a blood relationship, actually. You know, extended family, connections of cousins and others, and neighborhood connections, of course. So, I mean, this even comes up to modern maelstroms of inner cities. And it works in the desert too. So the blood thing is, so God says, okay, okay, Cain, I'm sorry for you. Ooh, what does God do for Cain to help him out? Huh? Puts the mark of Cain on him. He marks him. He says, okay, and it seems like an old poem, old ditty. He says, something, I take vengeance, blah, blah, blah. Vengeance is the key to stopping people from murdering other people. 7 times vengeance will be taken for Cain. And I'll take it. The Lord, the God, says, I'll take vengeance for Cain. If anyone touches Cain, 7 times vengeance will be taken. And that's enough. Oh, so Cain goes away happy. He says, okay, he's got someone to protect him. But in the desert, the blood relationship was your protection. And the worst thing that could happen to you would be to be banished from the tribe, because you no longer enjoyed the tribal protection. And you were banished from the tribe very often for murder or things like that. And so the Cain story actually reflects real tribal Bedouin sort of situations as they existed way back in time. And if you did criminal activity within the tribe, you could be banished, then anyone could kill you because you had no protection. Your only protection was the tribe. And what would the tribe do? Take vengeance for you. It couldn't stop you from being killed by someone who hated you, but it could discourage that person from doing it by saying, if you kill that person, we're going to kill your relatives, or we're going to kill you. And that's a pretty good deterrent, as we know from the situations we study in the modern world. Okay, so I'm off the subject there again. We've done the Ishmael claim. We know where that came from. We know what it means. We know how far it extends, and you can decide if it extends all the way out to Algeria and all the way down to Yemen and Oman and all the way east to Baghdad and every other place. That's up to you to decide. I don't think that's valid. I think that's where poetry comes into play, and that I told you originally, poetry is truer than history. So the poetry is what people really remember. The history is too complicated. So when the storyteller comes along, he reduces the story to one nice little package for you.